You don't realize how messed up it was until you get older and you start seeing things from your own perspective. All right? Growing up, I always felt different. I was always treated different. And this is because my family didn't see me for me, but they saw me as an extension of my biological father. A man that I had never met before. A man that I don't know from a hole in the wall. But the things I do remember was always chaos, arguing, fighting. I remember being as young as 3 years old. Like, I was super, super young. I remember being so, so little. And I could feel the tension between my parents. I could feel everything that was going on. I can see just the dynamic of everything. And that's what I grew up around. I grew up around my uncles, my grandma, my mom, shit-talking my biological father, telling me how he was a bad man, telling me how he was unfit, telling me all of these things. I literally remember these things, okay? And the crazy part is that the minute that I did something that was unappealing, whether it was that I had a big emotion, I was angry, I was sad, whatever it may be, I was automatically compared to that man. I was told growing up that I was problematic, that I was dramatic, that I did things for attention. And it's crazy because my family created this personality, this persona, this image of me before I could even figure out who it is that I was. You see, as a parent, your job is to guide your child. Your job is to teach your child emotional intelligence. Your job is to teach your child how to regulate their emotions. I was never taught how to regulate my emotions. And this is because I grew up around adults who were emotionally unavailable, who were ignorant, who didn't even know how to have conversations, right? But I was expected to know these things, but I didn't. So growing up, I was sensitive. Growing up, I was sassy. Growing up, I did have a big personality, but it never meant that anything was wrong with me. But that's how I was treated. I was treated differently. And because the adults in the family saw me this way and treated me this way, and I say this because there has been so many different scenarios where I would witness my mom allowing the men in my family to disrespect me, to talk down on me, to say things just because I didn't want to do whatever it is that they wanted me to do. I've always been the kind of person that I want to do what I want to do. If my cousins are playing Barbies, if my cousins are playing this and I don't want to play that, I'm not going to play it because I'd rather be doing something else. And because I would challenge that control, I would challenge that, I was a problem because I didn't want to do what they were doing, or because I had certain feelings, or because I felt a little bit jealous, but I'm a child. And I could honestly say now, the way that the adults in my family spoke to me as a child, I would never speak to my child in that way. Why? Because I understand that a child is developing. I understand that a child only knows and understands as much as you teach that child, right? So if you're not teaching your child emotional intelligence, if you're not teaching your child how to manage their emotions, if you're not teaching your child how to communicate in a way where they can be understood, you can't expect that from them, right? And for me, because my biological father is the man that he was, it became easy for people to label me. It became easy for people to compare. And it came to a point where it wasn't just the adults in the family that felt this way about me, but my cousins, my siblings. And why was that? Because again, children only know as much as their parents teach them. If the adults are scolding me, if the adults are talking down on me, then it's likely that the children in the family are going to pick up on those habits and they're going to feel the way that they feel. And I say this because I know that I've had certain perceptions of my sisters and my brothers. Why? Because of the things that my mom would say to me about them. The things that she would complain to me about them. It is what it is. And this is why I'm always saying you don't truly know a person just by what other people say and just by little things that you see. Right? You don't know a person, and if you don't take the time to actually ask that person about their issues, ask that person how they're feeling emotionally, ask that person, all these different things. And honestly, I've always been super aware that I was being treated differently. I always been super aware that the way that I was being talked to and compared wasn't okay. And so as I grew and as I developed more vocabulary, as I developed more understanding, I grew into more frustration, more anger, more resentment. And yeah, I will say that I was a rebellious child. I will say that I did have a smart mouth. Until this day, I do. Why? Because I'm not going to sit here and allow someone to feel like they have power and control over me just because they're older than me. Because maturity doesn't come from age, it comes from the experience and how you handle those experiences. So I knew the adults in my family were ignorant. I knew the adults in my family lacked a lot. And this is because, anytime that I wanted to speak on something, anytime that I would challenge my parents, I was told to be quiet. I was told to shut up. I was told that, it didn't matter because I was the kid and they were the adults. So I never had a safe place to open up. And it frustrated me. And I became more vocal. But the more vocal I became, the more that these adults labeled me as disrespectful. And I don't, and maybe maybe the way I did it was disrespectful, right? Maybe the way I did it was disrespectful, but I didn't know any better because I was a kid, right? And so as I got older, everything that I did as a kid was continuously used against me to create like this persona, this image of me. And I felt so misunderstood, and that led to so much depression. That led to so much lack of self-esteem, right? And so as I became a teenager, I became suicidal. As I became a teenager, I became someone who didn't know how to speak up for themselves, right? I was loud, I was bold, but I didn't know how to defend myself, right? I was sassy, but at the same time, I feel like my family just didn't know me. They saw me as sassy, they saw me as loud, but they didn't know the parts of me that were anxious. They didn't know the parts of me that were closed off, right? Because they didn't care to get to know me. They didn't care to get to know me. And this is why when I decided to start doing different for my life, they feel like, oh, I changed so much. Oh, this, and that. This is why when I decided to rebrand myself and I started to be happy, this is why it was so easy for them to point fingers at my ex, at my partner, and say, oh, she's controlling you, oh, she's this. Why? Because that's their perception, because that's how they feel about me. They were always able to control the narrative of me and who I was. And so they projected that onto my partner when I decided to be healthier, when I decided to start losing weight, when I decided to start doing better for myself. They couldn't stand that. They couldn't. Because the more that I grew and the more that I started understanding things, the more that I started seeing the reality of my childhood, the reality of my life, and realizing that I was treated unfair. I was treated poorly. And I don't have to keep conforming. I don't have to keep dimming my light and watering myself down just to fit into a family where the respect is not there. The respect is not mutual. And everything is, oh, it's a joke. Oh, it's a joke. But it's shady. It's shady. And I just always knew that I deserved better. I never planned on cutting my family off, but it's just crazy that when I started developing this awareness, it's crazy that when I started speaking up and realizing, hey, this isn't right, hey, I'm not okay with this, they started lying, gaslighting, pretending that none of these things happened, pretending that they never treated me differently, pretending that the things that they said were just jokes. But you don't joke in those ways to a child. You don't take serious matters and put it into a child's mind and say, oh, it's a joke. You don't do that. You just don't. So my decision to get up and leave my family, my decision to get up and walk away was 100% because I know what I experienced. And I'm never going to sit here and allow anybody or anything outside of me to make me feel like I'm crazy for something that I experienced. I'm never going to allow somebody to talk so low of me, down on me, and make me feel like, oh, maybe I'm making the wrong decision when I know my experience. I think my family never seen this coming because my family didn't see the intelligence that I had. Why? Because they were so busy comparing me to people. They were so busy comparing me to my biological father. They were so busy comparing me to the fact that my brother got better grades than me, or my sisters were more mature than me. They spent so much time focusing on the wrong things. They spent so much time trying to bring me down that they didn't realize that I was 10 steps ahead. That, okay, maybe I'm not good in school. Okay, maybe I'm not good at regulating my emotions, but I damn well know what I go through. And I damn well learned how to soothe myself. I damn well learned how to speak up for myself. I damn well learned what it was and what it wasn't. And the way that I was being treated was not okay. And I'm not going to sit here and act like an angel. Like, obviously, I grew more frustrated. Obviously, I grew more angry. Obviously, I grew into having more attitude. Because it's like, why can't I just be me? Right? Why can't you just teach me how to regulate my emotions? Why can't you just teach me how to communicate rather than use that against me? For what? For what reason? And I know that I'm never going to get an answer. And I feel like that's what made it easier to walk away from my family, is knowing that I'm never going to get an answer as to why they treated me that way. I'm never going to get an answer because in their eyes, nothing ever happened. Because in their eyes, they didn't treat me any different. They didn't. And granted, I'm healed from that. Granted, I'm okay with where I'm at now. But growing up, I wish things were differently. Growing up, I wish that I had a good relationship with my mom. I wish that, we were that type of mother-daughter where we could do things, where we could do pranks, where we could do all these things. But no, we couldn't. Because my mom didn't know how to love me. She didn't know how to give me what I needed because of her own traumas. And I can have a lot of compassion for that. I get it, It's her first time living. It's her first time, whatever, being a mom or whatever. But I think it gets to a point where you do know right from wrong. I think it gets to a point where, when somebody is disrespecting your child, you should speak up for them. When someone is disrespecting your child, you should remove your child from those situations. Don't keep forcing them to be around those people. Don't keep, just trying to keep the family together, and so dismissing my feelings, dismissing what I'm going through, dismissing what I'm trying to say, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel, and that's why I decided to walk away. And nobody deserves to go through that, Nobody deserves to be told the things that I was told as a kid. Nobody deserves to be compared to their siblings and told, oh, at least one of my kids is going to make it, and, oh, you're so immature. You know what's so crazy is that, I don't see myself as someone that's immature. I think I've always been super mature, but I've always been super bubbly. I've always been super fun. I've always been super out there, and I still am, and I still have this childlike energy, but it doesn't mean that I'm immature. I just like to have fun. I like to laugh. I like to do, I love dancing. I love being loud. I love all of that stuff. But to them, I was immature. And again, these are things that I would try to bring up to my family, that I would try to talk about, that I would ask to be heard. And it just went in one ear and out the other. Because my mom didn't know how to comfort me. My mom didn't know, I can't even explain it. She just doesn't know how to, give her child what they need, you know? And it sucks because it just made me feel like alone. And like, I know I had siblings and stuff and whatever, but I know my siblings saw me in a different way as well because of the things that my family would say about me, you know? And it's like, okay, that's something that I grew into, because being as young as 4 or 5 years old, when I don't even have my own personality yet and already being told these things, like, of course I'm going to grow up to be angry. Of course I'm going to grow up to be rebellious. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that, you know, my behavior was valid. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm saying, like, it just makes sense. Because your childhood, the first 0 to 7 years of your life, you're like a parrot. You're just picking things up, right? You're picking things up. You're seeing things for what it is. You're picking it up, and that's how you're programming yourself into your religion, into your family dynamic, into your likes, to your dislikes. And that's just how it was for me. If I'm always being told that I'm this way, then it's likely that I'm going to continue to be that way. So that's what it was for me. And I guess I just wanted to share just what it was like for me growing up, and just, I don't know. I feel like I'm not saying enough, but at the same time, I feel like I'm making valid points of my life and my upbringing. And I know that I wasn't perfect, but I also understand why I wasn't the daughter, the niece, the granddaughter, all that. Like, I wasn't what everybody, I guess, wanted of me. And I don't think I'm ever going to be what they wanted of me. I'm going to continue to be loud and bold. I'm going to continue to be expressive. I'm going to continue to just be the way that I am, you know, and I'm no longer going to keep sitting around and waiting for external validation and waiting to be loved and waiting to be understood. Like, I'm just not going to do that anymore, because not everybody's open to holding themselves accountable. And when people are not open to holding themselves accountable, you literally only have one choice, which is to walk away for your own mental health. And even till this day, I know that, you know, there's rumors about me and there's all these different perceptions of me, and I don't really care anymore. Like, I share my experiences on YouTube, on here, on my platform, because I know there's people in the world who could relate. And even in my last video, I've had people that message me telling me, like, how much they really relate to my videos. And yeah, and honestly, my goal now is just to take everything that I went through and turn that pain into power and alchemize that pain and transmute it into something beautiful. And this is exactly what I'm doing with everything. It's like, I don't look at my life and I don't question anymore, why did my mom treat me this way? I don't look at my life anymore and I don't question, why did my mom lie about the way she treated me? Why does my mom not want to hold herself accountable? Why doesn't, like, anybody see? Like, I don't question that stuff anymore, because at the end of the day, all that's going to do is drive me crazy. All that's going to do is going to keep me stuck ruminating on those thoughts, and it's going to cause more depression, cause more anxiety, cause me to be unhappy. And I don't want that for myself anymore. I don't want to keep losing myself because I want to know why. I don't want to keep losing myself anymore because, you know, people are saying things, and I just don't. So my decision to walk away has been entirely for myself, for my own growth, for my own healing, so that I could break that cycle of bullying family members, so I could break that cycle of comparing with family members, judging, you know, gossiping, like all that. And I can bring my children something more beautiful. I can bring my children healthier relationships, healthier dynamics, right? I can bring my children and my future just so much love and joy and peace. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I keep surrounding myself with people that are chaotic. I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm surrounding myself with people who look at me as less than and who are not open to just accepting who I am. So that's just what it is for me. And I hope that this video does kind of resonate with anybody out there. Like I said, I feel like I kind of just started expressing myself, but I know there's people out there that gone through similar things. So Thank you for watching this video. I love you so much, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.